Hello and welcome. I wanted to do a quick video showing Azure AD Federation with Apple Business Manager. Basically, the process to get managed Apple IDs on your business, because there's a lot of questions around that feature. There's just not enough information, nothing that takes you from A to B. And hopefully, this will show you that and do it in a quick fashion so that you can get on with your business and get this going. I'll start by talking about some facts about Azure AD Federation. So you will have to prove ownership of your domain in Apple Business Manager, basically like you do with some of your domains. If you're familiar, you kind of put a number that Apple gives you in your DNS, and that way they verify that you own that domain. You will also um, be told once you start enabling federation, how many conflicts, as Apple calls them, there are. Basically, how many people in your organization are using your domain as part of their email address for their Apple ID as a personal Apple ID. Um, you will not know who they are. Apple will not tell you. They're considered personal Apple IDs, so it's a privacy thing. There is, however, a workaround, and I will cover that later. Um, it is turned on immediately once you enable it. There's a couple steps. You enable it, you have to log in with your global admin credentials. And after you do that, it's on and it's good to go. You will have 60 days to basically move over those personally owned iCloud accounts to some other email address. And if not, at the end of the 60 days, Apple will kindly move them for you, create a temporary username for those users, and move their stuff over and freeing up that email address for your company. Now, the user, a lot of questions revolve around this. They will, as soon as you turn Federation, they will get emailed um, right away and get an email from Apple saying you have to move your email address on your Apple ID because your company has claimed the domain that you're using. Basically, um, one thing I was going to say is obviously you can tell people that it's coming, but they will get emailed right away. Something to watch out for. Now, facts about managed Apple IDs, just so that you're kind of aware. You can create them in three ways. Manually in Apple Business Manager, you can use Skim with Azure AD. You basically create a enterprise application to sync between you and Apple, and whoever you put in that group gets synced with Apple, and their Apple IDs get created. Or you can use federated authentication. Once you get federated, when a user logs in with their um, managed Apple ID now using the the domain, their Apple ID will get created. One of the good things is these Apple IDs can be removed from the devices if an employee leaves. Some of the features to consider that are not available with app managed Apple IDs: Apple Pay, the App Store, the iTunes Store, Apple Books, and you can read the rest. Um, Keep in mind that users cannot install their own apps. They can browse the App Store, but they cannot install any apps. They will have to be pushed via MDM or Endpoint Manager. Um, the best thing about it is you can use shared iPads with it, and you also have the ability to reset the passwords to those shared iPad accounts from Apple Business Manager. So going back to the beginning of the process, you go to Apple Business Manager to enable federation. You will turn it on, and then if you're ready to do it, it'll tell you how many conflicts you have, and it will then determine, hey, man, this is a risk that I will take, or it may take some time. Like I said, Apple will not tell you who they are, but something that we did, and this is my tip to you, is we used our spam filter to capture those emails before they actually got to the user, and then we were able to determine who was going to be impacted. Now, the only thing is at that point, it's the federation's turned on. I heard that you can go back and turn it off, but we obviously were ready to move forward, so we left it on. We worked on documentation after we saw the emails and what they look like, and um, once you enable federation, this is what you'll see. This is what the email will look like to the user, telling them that hello, such and such. Your company has claimed the domain. You have until July 9th. That's the 60 days after we started the process to move over your email address, basically. And it gives them the URL where they can go ahead and do that. Right here, once the user successfully logs into this URL, they get prompted right away and saying, "Hey, um, you need to change this, and you can update your email address. Go ahead and change that." You can say, "Create an iCloud account." That's probably the easiest. Once they go here, they're prompted to get an email account from Apple. They can create an iCloud account on their own. We just told users we recommend that you do this so that it basically, even though it's their own considered personal Apple ID, so that they can move it over to something that we kind of know what it was going to be to help them out in the future if they ever forget. We said, hey, it's your username, and then at the end dash the three-letter word or whatever for our company. So F Smith dash ABC company at, and then the domain. And that's just to help them out and basic in case they forgot. Obviously, users forget. Be able to tell them we suggested this. That's probably what you used to do to create the new iCloud account. And anyways, so that's how you do this part. Once they complete that process, they will get an email confirming, this has been updated, and at that point they're good to go. They will basically have moved over their personal Apple ID to another email address ending in iCloud.com, and at that point they can now immediately log in and have a managed Apple ID with your company domain. At the end and closer to 60 days, users will start getting this kind of message saying, "Hey, you know, we're about to turn this off. This one was the day before. Starting tomorrow, this is your new email address, basically." And like I was saying, Apple will move it for you if you don't go in there and do it. Several users said, "Well, I'll just go ahead and wait." I will tell you that while it sounds like a good idea, it's probably not the best, because even now, after we've gone through this process, they still say, "Hey, how do I reset this?" And I'm like, you know what? Uh, I don't know. You have to talk to Apple, and you really can help users because, like I said, resetting the password will take sometimes. If Apple has to do any checks on their end, it may take 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, seven, sometimes up to 30 days to get back with you on resetting passwords. So you definitely want to tell your users that they need to get on the ball right away to avoid any issues. Um, so you can go to Apple Business Manager under accounts, and you can then see who's been logging in. If basically you have the just-in-time method where people just log into the managed Apple ID using your domain, and then their Apple ID gets created, they will start populating here. We have more than 96 users, but only 96 are currently using managed Apple IDs. Some of them have chosen to keep but it's the personal Apple ID on their device just to kind of write it out and keep all their stuff in under that Apple ID, which is fine. Um, so I hope this answers a lot of your questions. Please like and thank you for watching this. Please comment if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help you with that. Thanks. Bye bye.